number 1 here of round 8 at the 250th YCS here in Los Angeles. All right, looks like we're about ready to get the die roll. We do see Matt, he is going to be on that Adventure Sprite deck as well. It's been pretty popular this weekend. A lot of Sprite variants running around. It's a solid deck. I can't blame the players for going to that strategy.
I thought I'd be seeing more Kashtira, but I mean, Kashtira is the targeted deck to beat.
Yep, everyone was looking to beat that deck this weekend. Lots of Ciphering Gear Gammas running around, all sorts of ways to counter it. Maybe that's the reason why we haven't seen as much Kashtira as we anticipated.
Yep. And I believe the game has begun.
I'll draw for turn.
We're passing turn on an empty field.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he drawing for turn on his first turn? Nope, it looks like Matt not drawing anything, and normally a very consistent deck. It does play a lot of like cards that you might not be able to use on your first turn, like maybe some of the one-of trap cards, like maybe a Sprite Smashers, a Sprite Double Cross, maybe Triple Tactics Talent, just not being able to do anything. But Pat going to start his turn with Runic Dispelling, and he's going to use the effect to special summon Hugin. Yep. And then he's going to be able to discard a Sacred Tree from his hand to add Runic Fountain.
Yes, and not only that, the Sacred Tree is also going to activate, and the Sacred Tree is not once per turn.
Yep.
And you're going to be able to fetch another card out of the deck. Now,
It's graveyard effect, much more useful than its on-field effect.
Yes, but you know, even if you do set the card, you get to summon out the opposing type from the Naturia lineup.
And he looks like he did add Naturia Blessing off of the Sacred Tree, and now he's going to follow it up with a normal summon of Naturia Camilla to send down Naturia Mole Cricket. He did, so Matt did have the Infinite Impermanence here on the Hugin, so Pac wasn't able to get access to Runic Fountain right away.
And we're going to activate the Mole Cricket, but we're also going to, pair it with the Camilla. Instead of attributing the card, we're going to send 2 cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, and we're going to summon another Naturia Camilla.
Yeah, we see really the synergy here between these two strategies. As you get to mill cards, instead of attributing, you're putting more Runic spells in your graveyard that you're going to be able to return with the Runic Fountain later on, while filling up your board with more monsters and tuners where you're going to be able to access those awesome Synchro monsters from your extra deck.
Now, are we going to take that level 2 and the level 4? This is going to be a Synchro summon, and that's what's so crazy about the deck is that you can just climb up with your Synchro lines.
Oh, Stardust Charge Warrior. I don't know if it's going to be Coral Dragon or Stardust Charge Warrior. Stardust Charge Warrior makes sense.
I think, yeah, it definitely makes sense. You get the draw immediately. I mean, there's nothing on the other side of the field right now, but we did activate a Runic card, so there's not going to be a battle phase here. So right now, it should be more focused. It's almost like you're playing turn 1 all over again.
Oh, you passed? Well, okay, it's okay. I won't finish you this turn. Maybe there's a situation where Matt knows he's playing his Naturia Runic, so he passes turn 1. He knows his battle phase is going to be safe more than likely, but I still think if you have something to get going, you're going to get started. So we'll have to see what the rest of the cards in his hand are.
We're going to Synchro away the Mole Cricket plus the Camilla. That's another 6.
Let's see what he says to go. It looks like...
Is that 6? Oh, is it 1? Sorry, that was a 1. That was a 1.
So
that was a 1. Now we get a Naturia Beast, one of the most powerful cards in the entire game, I would say.
And I love Naturia Beast. Anytime your opponent activates a spell card, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard and negate it.
To me, it feels a little bit like Imperial Orders on the field right now, and the Mole Cricket's also on the field. And remember, Mole Cricket can summon itself out from the graveyard if you perform a Synchro summon of a Naturia monster, or if your opponent also special summons out a monster, I believe, from the extra deck.
Yep, and we know he has that Naturia Blessing set face down, so we'll be looking to interact with Matt during his turn.
This is going to be pretty rough because in the main phase, we're seeing Cricket right away. Are we trying to proceed to the battle phase
Maybe.
right now?
I think he might have said trying to go to battle phase, so that's going to prompt Pac to use the Cricket to summon a Camilla to send down another Sacred Tree.
I mean, if he's going to be forced to banish multiple cards off of the field right away, might as well get the maximum value out of the current stuff that was already established.
Or find a way to go into like Naturia Barkion or something to negate the evenly matched.
That's going to be pretty difficult. I don't know.
I don't think he's able to do it. He would have to do that on his first turn to really think about the evenly matched, but going to keep the Naturia Beast not too bad.
And it's also pretty, like, with the originally the set Blessing, even if you cleared the Naturia Beast, you would have been able to just revive the card right away.
So he goes to main phase 2, has an Infinite Impermanence on Naturia Beast.
And we're going to see an attempted negation with Naturia Beast. Of course, it is negated by Infinite Impermanence, but I think Pac is going to try to load his graveyard. Maybe he'll hit another Sacred Tree.
Yeah, Sacred Tree, just getting more Runic spells in his graveyard, so if he happens to draw a fountain and has a way to put them back.
Now, the battle phase has passed, so that that beast probably is going to, if it's going to be removed from the field, it's going to be from the new cards that we're going to see onto the field now. Because there's not going to be any more battling here.
That is true. So the starter summoned blue. Blue's going to add maybe red or carrot. I saw that he has a jet already in his hand.
Perhaps the red can prevent some of the monster effect that may be in Pak's hand from going off.
Yeah, and we know he has the Naturia Blessing that he added off of the Sacred Tree. Now it looks like Matt going to special summon red from the hand to try to protect himself from some of those monster effects that Pak could have in the hand.
We're going to see the Jet special summon out. We're going to get into starter.
Looking to summon carrot during the next turn, I'd assume. But he needs to get rid of this Naturia Beast, but I think he'll be able to find a way.
You can just remove it off of the field.
The Soul Sweeper or
Soul
something.
Soul Sweeper is an option. Okay, here's the Sprint. I think this is everyone's Sprite's favorite card, Sprint.
All right, so it's going to use Mole Cricket from the graveyard.
Oh, that's right. Mole Cricket's out there. The extra deck summon, now it's coming in. And Naturia Beast, though, being the highest attack, is not going to allow that Mole Cricket to get the maximum value of 2 monsters.
Not quite yet. We'll have to see if... And he also, Matt has that red on the field now as well. So he's maybe just using the effect before Matt gets more level 2s onto the field to be able to just negate it for free.
Yeah, that's true.
But Matt not really falling for that bait there.
Mm-hmm. But this does put another monster on board. If you do pass turn with the Mole Cricket, I mean, the Mole Cricket can just go off the next turn.
Very true.
And there's no battle phase, and that's the easiest monster to just destroy by battle.
Looks like he's going to be overlaying for Gigantic Sprite here. He's able to use the Link Monster as a material. And now, while he has that Link Monster as a material, it's going to double his attack to 3,200. Detaches the Beaver to special summon a level 2 from the deck.
I wonder what he's going to go for. Most of the sprites have already used their effect. You can
Swap
probably
Frog.
see Swap Frog, perhaps, maybe you can go for a carrot just so the negation, if we need a spell negation. We're seeing Swap Frog.
Okay.
I believe Swap Frog is activating.
Yeah, we're going to send down probably the Tetsudo Irat Namen.
Yes, we are.
Newman.
Now, there are 2 versions of this card in a way.
They do the exact opposite thing. One's a turtle that will one day be strong. The other one's a turtle that was once strong.
Now, the way to summon the card back onto the field would be to use something like a double cross onto an arrow.
Could definitely do that. Seems like he's looking at Reproductus. So while you have Reproductus and a Swap Frog on the field, yeah, he's going to go for it. Since that Beaver is underneath that zone, the Reproductus can turn Beaver into an Aqua, and then you can overlay those 2 Aqua monsters into it. Totally awesome. So yeah, maybe he already has Double Cross, but I'm surprised he didn't get... Yeah, oh, maybe it is. I see a trap card in his hand, so he probably does already have it, which is why he grabbed the starter. But losing the red off the field means you can't use the red to negate Naturia Beast to negate your starter.
Yep.
But we'll have to see how it's going to play out. The Totally Awesome is going to be able, during the semi-phase, to attach to summon a Dupe Frog from the deck.
I haven't seen that strategy in a long time.
It works really well when you do that double crossplay with the Reproductus, because you're able to summon back the Testudo Irat Newman. And then normally one of the ways you can attack over it, maybe in Kashtira or something, you can activate Pressure Planet Rathos, summon like Scareclaw Kashtira or Kashtira Rise Heart, and since they're bigger because the field spell, you can just attack over it. But now Dupe Frog, you got to go through that Dupe Frog first.
Normal summon Sunflower?
Oh, we're going to see a normal summon Sunflower. That's pretty good. I mean, that potentially just shuts off the Totally Awesome. But right now there is no Camilla, and Sunflower needs to tribute itself and another monster at the same time to get the monster negation effect. But we're going to see the Naturia Blessing activated.
I think you bring up a good point there. The Camilla with the Sunflower combination just is incredible.
Yeah, and the card's actually not once printed, but it does tribute itself off. Normally when you use it, like a lot of the old school Naturia cards way back in like Hidden Arsenal day, like I didn't see too much of the competitive scene, but now
Rose Whip has kind of fallen in and out of play throughout the years.
But we mainly see like the synchro monsters, but nowadays we're seeing like, hey, you know, the main deck monsters, they're really, really good.
So it does look like he did have that double cross.
And we're not seeing a double Totally Awesome, but I think we're seeing a take play.
Oh, he could take the Naturia Beast here, so he'll be able to activate his starter. This is pretty cool. Oh, your Naturia Beast and negate spells? Let me have it.
But it's not going to be everything. We do have a monster effect negation. We could have potentially 2 monster effect negation right here.
Yeah, the Toad can trade. He still has the starter set, but the starter's only going to be useful if maybe he has another copy of red, so it'll be red and Toad versus Sunflower. But the Camilla is going to be summoned and send down the Sacred Tree, so it's going to be about a Naturia card.
I think the timing is going to be crucial here. If the red can come onto the field just quick enough, if just in case you started the interaction before the red came onto the field, it will be perhaps one interaction too late.
And Pak hasn't had to use a runic spell just yet this turn, so he will have his battle phase online.
Activate Runic Fountain.
Oh, he's got the fountain. This could completely change the game if he manages to activate one runic spell. That's
drawing 3 cards can really put you back into it.
It could be any game.
Because you draw 3 cards and then you get to do it again on your opponent's turn.
So Sunflower is not once per turn, and he does have double activation on that Sunflower, and there's enough stuff to let it happen. And even if Mole Cricket put to the graveyard, if you perform a synchro summon to another Naturia monster, boom, it's back on the field.
You'd say it just jumps back like a cricket.
Yep. How fitting of the monster.
I'm not sure what a mole cricket is exactly, but
I tried to look it up. I believe it is an insect that has claws,
claws like a mole to dig.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Yeah. I would not recommend looking it up. It's definitely not as cute as the one.
I love my Naturia ones. Yeah, all the Naturia cards are just like these cute plants, but they're deceptively powerful. All right, thinking about what he can do here with the extra deck.
So you could definitely negate both the Toad and the Naturia Beast right now, based on what I see.
It looks like he just activated that Runic Fountain to try and get Matt to use Naturia Beast so he could clear some of these things off the field, but Matt did not fall for the bait.
Now, one of the more dangerous phases for Naturia is the battle phase.
Is it?
It is one of the most, because a lot of these cards are pretty vulnerable. They're not very strong, and a lot of interaction usually happens during the main phase. If you're able to push through into the battle phase without getting interrupted by the runic cards, you should be good to go. But I believe
I have to assume Pak scooped it.
Pak scooped it up. Maybe, might have been.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, but Matt is going to be our winner of game 1. Pak realizing he's not going to be able to come out of this. I'm assuming maybe all he did was say, like, inner battle phase or something, as you mentioned how devastating it can be when they just attack over all your monsters. I mean, that Sprite double cross taking Pak's Naturia Beast, whew.
That was rough.
That is rough.
I mean, I don't think Pak wanted to trade away all his cards just so that perhaps maybe he could get 1 or 2 cards to go through, and maybe he didn't even have the runic spell to begin with.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think his one, like, he knew he was in a bad spot, and the only way he was probably going to win that game is, as you mentioned, to catch him off guard. Maybe Runic Fountain, you going to do anything? And he gave him a moment to think. Like, he pondered, like, maybe I shouldn't negate this, and you got to see, okay, well, if I do this, this is going to happen. This will happen next. Yeah. And it ended up being the result there to where Pak lost. But I do like the play there, because when you have cards, even if it doesn't look like things are going great, if you still think you have a chance, play to that opportunity. Play to that chance for your opponent to make a mistake. I mean, still be able to assess the game. As you saw, like, as soon as he realized his opponent wasn't making a mistake, instant concede so he could save some time.
Yeah, maybe reveal a little less information as well. I think that's like a big thing in Master Duel too. Sometimes you don't just get the hand that you want, and you're playing a best of 1 in Master Duel, right? And somehow your opponent makes that one crucial mistake, and all of a sudden you took the entire game.
Yeah, you have something that's maybe a misclick or something in Master Duel, just a tiny error that can really bounce back on.
Or maybe you've been counting the time and you run out of time, you lose the game on that one.
Sometimes, yeah, those numbers just flashing. You're just terrifying.
I know that experience from the Master Duel Invitational.
It can be really nerve-wracking, but neither here nor there here for the TCG. But they are going into the side decks. Matt won game 1. He's able to go first, pass with an open field, and still manage to win the game. Back behind, he had infinite permanence, evenly matched, infinite permanence, which just completely broke Pak's board.
Yep.
And then I guess I'm assuming he had to draw into Sprite starter.
Yes.
That had to be his draw for the turn. And it was a fantastic one.
I think that made a lot of sense. And you know what? For any deck that you want to pass turn to, it's a runic deck.
Yep.
They don't have the battle phase, so you might be just shifting that, turn 1, passing a turn 1 back to the opponent almost.
Yeah, I always feel a little more comfortable. Like, I mean, it's all you get behind in advantage level when they start activating runic spells. But as long as they're not drawing 3 cards off a fountain, they don't have a battle phase. They're running out of cards. They can't really do much. So you just focus down that fountain and find a way to get out the field. I mean, going into your side decks, a lot of people were preparing for things like Runic with Cosmic Cyclone. Since Hugin has that effect to protect your spells and traps from being destroyed, you kind of go with cards that can banish it right away, and being able to use the Cosmic Cyclone from your hand immediately when you draw it on the fountain to chain to when they activate the effect to shuffle 3 back, really strong.
Yes.
And also go over those go after those continuous traps that might be giving you a problem.
And looking at these players in terms of how they build the deck, a lot of it, they're able to go either first or second.
That's a good way to build your deck for a tournament like this.
It makes a lot of sense. And you know how a lot of players, they just tend to cater towards, if I win the die roll, I get a good chance, you know, and then you can't
You'll
always
side
bank
for going
on that.
second.
Yeah, you can't just bank on that sometimes.
But it looks like they are ready, shuffled up and sided, so let's go ahead and jump into it. It's game number 2. Pack is down. He's going to have to win game 2 and 3 if he wants to move on. Two.
Lost one.
And won the last.
Won the last one.
That's right. So he didn't bounce back there, but... Oh, yeah, because I remember he won the first 2 games and was excited. I thought maybe he thought he won completely, but now Pack starting off with a Runic Spell to summon Hugin. Runic Spell plus Sacred Tree, strong combo.
And we're seeing the impermanence dropped once again. Is this the repeat?
Is it VOD? Did we start it over from the beginning? Nope. Looks like it's just going to be a very similar... At least he's going to be able to add off the Sacred Tree here. Okay, impermanence on Hugin's always big. You do not want to let Runic players access Fountain if you can stop it by any means.
I almost feel like playing that impermanence just stopped 3-card draw.
It really did. We'll see if he's going to be able to get this Hugin off the field. Hugin, I don't think, is once per turn, so I think you can summon another one.
Yes,
and
yes,
do
you
it
can.
again.
And even the Runic Fountain is technically like a once per turn, but is
by copy.
By copy. That's right.
Yep, so you're able to play another Runic Fountain and then use the effect again. That is for sure.
Well, we're going to see the Blessing.
Blessing's going to special summon the Mole Cricket from the hand.
Send to. Oh, a Nibiru sent to the graveyard as well as, I believe that was another Camilla.
I think so.
And we got a second Camilla. Well, we do have the tuners. We have the right monsters. We're going to start seeing some synchro plays. Going first. Now we're seeing the...
Now it's Coral Dragon.
Coral Dragon.
So Coral Dragon's for when you go first, and then Charge Warrior for when you're going second, I guess. But the whole point is, I guess Coral Dragon's the level 6 tuner, and Charge Warrior's not a tuner. So you're going to be able to use it to synchro with the, I think it's Frecky, right? And then make a Baron de Fleur. And you get to draw the card from the Coral Dragon.
Yes. So we're going to see Baron de Fleur, and we're also going to see...
Oh, sorry, it's Gary, I think. Yep.
Gary. Yeah, it's Gary. And we can see the Mole Cricket summon back.
This is a pretty standard opening here for Naturia Runic. It doesn't have the fountain face up, but having the Baron and Naturia Beast is always really strong. And now he knows his opponent's already using infinite impermanence out of the hand. Probably doesn't have 3 copies for the Baron and the Naturia Beast.
We're going to see the opening play with the Nimble Beaver being normal summoned on the field. This is an interesting line to see. Is he baiting out the Baron?
I think you have to Baron. I don't know what his face down is, but I don't think it's bad to Baron. He did get evenly matched, but yeah, it feels too good to Baron this.
It's a normal summon.
Right.
Like normal summon commitment. Oh, there it is. Good call on Pack. Just negate the card, and I guess we're proceeding into the next game, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a little easier so that when you have Naturia Beast face up, if you get rid of their normal summon, they can't use Sprite Starter. Like, how are they going to get another level 2 onto the field?
That's a really good call. Good call.
Yep, Baron de Fleur, one of the strongest synchro monsters, just got a collector's rare in Maze of Memories. I haven't been able to get my hands on one yet.
I haven't either.
I want one so bad. It looks so... It's one of the prettiest collector rares. I love all the collector rares from Maze of Memories, honestly, but the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, that's probably my favorite card in the set, and the collector rare one looks so good.
Oh, I wish I could get my hands on some of those myself.
Yeah, I might have to go get some Maze of Memories after this tournament. But it looks like quick game number 2 is going to get Pack right back into it, and now Matt is going to go first. I'm hoping he's going to have a little bit... I mean, even though he won that first game, his turn 1 was not very good. Pass. We'll see if we can do a little bit more action here in game number 3.
Perhaps we're going to see less of the going second card, the board breaking cards that aren't really effective when you can't attack, and there's nothing on the field for you to clear off. So
do you think you side out evenly matched when you're going first if you're deciding to main deck it at the beginning of it, or is it something you're going to leave in because it was so impactful in that first game? It was a little dicey though.
It's a bit dicey. I'd rather be able to put something onto the field, but at the same time, what would Pak do? If he's considering going second, would he put all those board breaker cards, and maybe you need to change the tempo of the game? And
True.
If any deck, having runic cards does, like, you know that your opponent's playing runics, you have that opportunity to actually just slow the game down a little, because you know that when they have to activate a runic card, they have no battle phase, which means you could just feel like you're going second, but you're not really going second.
It's a tough call, and I imagine that's what's going through Matt's head right now. Do I keep these evenlies in? Do I take them out for something like Cosmic Cyclone or any sort of things to deal with Runic Fountain? It's definitely the cards you want to target down in this matchup. While the Nichiri cards are strong and can summon a lot of things to the field, the Runic part is how they refill their hand and keep momentum going throughout the game, as opposed to just losing all their cards using for synchro summons. I mean, all the cards, the Nichiri cards, definitely plus you along the way, but you really get the advantage from Runic Fountain resolving and drawing 3.
Unfortunately, Pak has not been able to resolve that card on the field. Well, he did resolve it once, but that was mainly just to see if that Nichiri Beast was going to activate.
Yeah, he resolved the activation of the field spell.
He never got to draw 3 cards. I would like to see 3 cards being drawn personally.
I know Matt doesn't. Look, that's a face of someone who does not want Runic Fountain to resolve. You see the seriousness, the determination, because they both know, like, 7-0, like, you can taste it almost when you're at 7-0. The day is winding down. You know you're probably coming back for tomorrow, but if you can finish day 1 9-0, even if you have to come back for the next 3 rounds tomorrow, you only have to win 1 to really lock your spot in. They definitely are really hungry for this undefeated record. See, I'm one of those players, I always lost early. I always lose round 1 or 2, so I'm just like playing like my life depends on it the rest of the tournament.
Does that make you play better or worse?
I think it has to be. I mean, just based upon personal, like, I would think better, because like that's when I've had the most success. I, won YCSs where I lost round 1 to like a player. It was their first YCS. They just royal tribute all the monsters out of my hand, and that's over. But you don't let that get you down. You just think, well, I couldn't do anything there, but maybe the rest of these rounds I can really focus down and do the best I can.
That's for sure. Well, I think they are about to finish up with the shuffling. What I hope to see, maybe we get a chance to see this from Pak, which would be multiple Runic Fountain activation drawing, maybe even 6 cards. There's a very big possibility, and it's actually very hard to stop it with an Ash, because it's usually blocked off by a Chainlink 2, for maybe a Gary adding the second copy of Runic Fountain back to the hand, and everything is just all over the place. But just definitely not the Chainlink that you want to see.
Yep, and this is game number 3 here of Swiss Round 8. But yeah, that's the thing with Fountain, is once the first one resolves, chances are you're going to draw into another way to get Fountain and another Runic spell to keep that money moving, keep drawing more cards. All right, I see a Draco back and an impermanence here from Matt. Definitely not 2 cards he wants to see in the opening hand, but there's also an Angler and a Jet, I believe, so he's going to have some plays. Going to normal summon Jet.
Ooh, special summon Blue. Blue effect. I mean, Blue is probably the better one to summon out after the fact, because you could get into another copy of Jet. Jet can grab you the spell card.
Yep, you can always get another Jet.
I think that's exactly what's happening here. Or I can see an overlay.
Maybe goes into Gigantic, playing around something like Nibiru.
Yeah, immediately locking out the additional levels or any of those other monsters is a really good play. A lot of people tend to just maybe jump the gun and go into Sprint and maybe summon 2 more, but that opens the Nibiru line.
Yep, this definitely is the way to play. He did see the Nibiru in game 2 when Pak was milling, so he definitely knows it's on the menu for Pak, for sure.
And we sent away the Dupe Frog. Maybe sided out the Testudo?
I think so, that's what I would think. Oh, but so he gets to return the Swap Frog to his hand, so now he can ditch the Angler from the hand. That's going to trigger Angler's effect to summon 2 Nimble Beavers from the deck to the field.
Maybe we won't even see the Sprint now.
3 in hand? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is interesting. I wonder, yeah, he could still, if he can get another level 2 on the field. Oh no, he just has to link away the Sprite, the Gigantic, and Nimble Beaver, and then go into Reproducus, and he can at least have Toad.
Good.
Oh, but he hasn't summoned the Jet yet, so that's going to grab him double cross. So he looks like he's going for double Toad as opposed to the Testudo, Irad, Newman.
Newman, yes.
Newman?
If we get to the double cross, well, I think that's one of the top considerations now. we see it put on the table.
Yep, double cross. Lets you summon a monster from your graveyard to a link monster, to a zone your link monster points to, or takes control of an opponent's monster, link monster points to, or you just take one of your opponent's monsters and throw it under your gigantic sprite.
It feels like it's too flexible sometimes.
It's a good one. So I guess he could go into. But he's gonna want a sprint to. Oh no! Yeah,
Nope.
he's gonna need a link monster to use the reborn effect if he wants to go into double toad.
Could.
Oh no, the Reaper Duckus will be the link. He can
Yeah.
summon to the zone points too. Yeah,
And then still make the toad, and then that's still available.
Just all you have to do is make sure the toad doesn't end up in the zone underneath the Reaper Duckus.
Mm-hmm. So the safest 3 zones would be 1, 3, and 5. There it is.
Aqua, yep.
Now, Matt seems like he just wants to prevent the game state from advancing too far.
Yep.
And just going for the double toad. I mean, if you go card for card trade, it could end up really well. And there's a 3-card set. There is an imperm in there from what we saw earlier. And there's a double cross. There's a lot of interruptions here.
Mystery, yeah.
Draw,
Double cross
draw,
imperm pretty strong, especially when you have the toad.
anything? Stand by.
Nope, he just sent the Dupe Frog with Swap Frog. I wonder, maybe he didn't realize he was going to do this play. He could have kept the Dupe Frog in his deck and summoned it here off the toad.
Yes. Dark Ruler no more.
That's the best card against Sprite.
Now that
The
doesn't
double cross will help though.
Yes, because the what we saw from a previous game, the Totally Awesome can just activate, send itself to the graveyard for the cost, and then add back a card, and then it can just double cross back onto the field, and now it's live again.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about Totally Awesome in the Sprite deck is you're able to add something back like Nimble Beaver, so you're going to have some follow-up for the next turn.
We're gonna see the dispel. Is that dispelling?
Yep, dispelling, summoning Hugin, discarding Sacred Tree.
That. It always feels so good when you get to discard the Sacred Tree.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to prompt him to use the toad. No, he's going to go for the impermanent.
And once again,
It's 3 times in a row, right?
yeah, history repeats itself.
History repeats itself. I had a friend from my OTS that when Ryza, just the first one came out, he used to always say he would true for Ryza and be like, history repeats itself, putting the cards back on top of the deck. So when he said that, it instantly unlocked a memory for me.
Oh.
I wonder if Matt knows about that play, though, of using the toad to get it off the field to double cross. He might just decide to use the double cross to spot remove a monster. But
I mean,
with
you
a
still
quick
have the
effect-
negation, right? I mean, you wait till... Well, you don't really have the negation, but maybe there's something else that's better, like you said.
Yeah, I figured the only thing would be using double cross not to bring back toad. But, I feel like that would have been good to use here.
Maybe it's fatigue?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, playing many rounds of a tournament, I can understand, playing locals, maybe you just only need to do the 4 rounds, but now you're pushing it.
But yeah, I also realized, since Pak used the runic spells, not having the battle phase, he could also be anticipating that his Totally Awesome might just survive the turn. So if he can use the double cross as a defensive option, keep the toad, and start with a toad and gigantic sprite, because Pak's going to have to pick between one of these two to get rid of the field, and I feel like if you know he has double cross, you can't go after this Totally Awesome. Oh, but he went into Barkion before he can use the double cross.
That is really good. I did not expect that.
I don't think Matt did either. This is why I was tempted just to throw the toad away and then bring it back immediately just so you'd have some form of negate. Oh no, now he's just shut down. I love Naturia Barkion. Naturia Barkion, it is an old one, so if you're not familiar with it, it lets you banish 2 cards from your graveyard to negate a trap activation.
And that is also not once per turn. A lot of these Naturia monsters from the extra deck aren't once per turn. That's why why they can be really oppressive. And we still have tuner monsters on the field.
Summon the effects, start thinking effects, summon new things.
I wonder if we're gonna be able to see a runic fountain come out and maybe play a single card out.
Effect draw 1.
Well, I think we're trying for it. We're trying for it
Did you card?
with Stardust Charge Warrior.
Just card again. Thank you.
Gonna draw a card here, make sure it's shuffled.
There's no battle phase, so this is going to be maybe a bit difficult if he doesn't have the correct spells. And we're going to see another... This was the first blessing.
That's going to bring back Camilla, so you can synchro with the Stardust Charge Warrior.
Seeing a 10.
That's Baron. So Baron's going to be able to either take out this Toad or Gigantic Sprite.
I mean, that does provide another layer of negation also. If it gets destroyed now, that's going to be a... if the Toad gets destroyed now, it's going to be one way to clear it, and
It's freezing chains, I think. It's either flashing fire or freezing chains, but I think it's freezing chains.
I believe it is the freezing curse.
Or freezing curse.
Freezing curse to summon, and we're seeing a runic fountain. You know, Dark Ruler No More doesn't really matter too much, where you can't even deal battle damage anyway, right? When you don't have a battle
I didn't
phase.
even think about that. That drawback is completely nullified, pretty much.
And the fountain, okay.
Will he resolve Runic Fountain?
Is the card enough? Okay, we're seeing a donor for hire. This is the for hire monster.
Donor for Hire is definitely a good one. He's going to be able to... So this is the way he's going to take out both the monsters. He's going to take out the Gigantic and the Totally Awesome now, because he can... Yeah.
Activate to summon.
Okay.
And, oh, there it is.
Effect Runic Fountain.
And now he's going to... Does he finally get to draw 3?
I think he got there.
This is not looking good for Matt. 0 cards in hand. Baron still hasn't used its effect to destroy yet.
And the back row,
We know it's...
stunned out.
Yeah, it is rough. Rough for Matt.
There's one unknown.
One unknown, and then the Sprite double cross. Now the Toad can add back Nimble Beaver, unless he decides to negate this with Baron.
Sure,
But if you... I mean, I think there's merit. He's like, what? You're going to negate the normal summon effect anyway, right? So you
Yeah.
might as well just negate with Baron here.
And if it's only trap card negation that you need to, I believe the Bar King can handle both of them.
Enter battle, skip, end phase, mutant effect, gain 1,000 life points.
Gain 1,000 life points during the end phase. That effect is mandatory, I believe.
Yep.
This is going to be a pretty tough way to play.
Yep. Draw phase. Yep.
We have a Fountain live. There could be more disruption in the hand now in the form of quick play spells.
Main's good.
And you could potentially even have the most flexible card like Runic Tip.
Runic Tip is a strong one.
How much time's up, Judge? Thank you.
Now that is, I believe, Moonin. It prevents targeting.
Yeah, Moonin's an interesting one. I've seen it more come out in Master Duel than I have in the TCG, but...
I believe if a card that activates targets, you'll be able to banish it to negate the activation of that card.
Ooh. Well,
And I believe it will also destroy, too.
Oh, the other back was probably a Draco back. Or, because I remember seeing the Draco
you saw
back
the
in his
Draco back?
opening hand, I think
Oh,
so. But no, he does have it right now.
And we're going to see the negation of the right from the Baron.
So now he can summon the Nimble Beaver.
Sure.
Allowing this Beaver to go through, I wonder what Pak has in his hand to kind of handle the rest of the follow-up here. We're going to see a Nimble Angler summoned out from the Nimble Beaver.
Yeah, he might just be waiting to do something until the Gigantic Sprite. It looks like he doesn't have any face-down spell trap, but while that Runic Fountain is face-up on the field, Pat can activate Runic Quick Plays from the hand. So he definitely has a lot of things he can potentially do.
I think the number of moves Matt has right now is really based on what he can summon from the extra deck to really push through. But there is also the Ripperdoc is still on the field. Don't forget about that
Kind of
card.
hanging out, right?
Yeah, he's just chilling.
He's just ready to change someone's Tiber attribute. Like, well, he's going to link away with the Reaperducus to go into Sprint. Interesting. I figured maybe go overlay for a Gigantic or something, but Sprint.
Sprint it is.
Chilling 2 more cricket.
Mole Cricket, don't forget about that. The Graveyard, and that could lead into Sunflower. But before the Sunflower comes out, I guess it's a bit harder here because the Sprite cards, they're not exactly very strong in terms of the attack points. So getting the double is a bit harder, but maybe we'll see into a Camilla perhaps. It is going to be a Camilla.
Yep. And that's going to let him send an Etruria card from his deck to the graveyard.
Okay.
And if you summon cards while Camilla is on the field, Camilla gets to special summon monsters from the graveyard.
Camellia to Reborn. Chilling 2,
Yep,
Camellia Descent.
Okay, so it's going to trigger when the Beaver is summoned, and so he's going to send and special. Send Sacred Tree. Sacred Tree lets him add an Etruria card from the deck to the hand. He's going to bring back the Sunflower.
New Mandatory, Sacred Tree.
Oh boy. There's a lot of negation on the field now, all of a sudden.
And that Runic Fountain still face up on the field.
And that was just all the stuff from the graveyard. So forcing Matt into just using the extra deck was a really good play.
Continue.
Yeah, I assume he's looking for maybe like a Zeus line of some sort. But it's it's going to be tough to navigate through all of Pak's defenses.
Now does Pak have a battle phase here? I believe he does.
No, he definitely the next battle phase. Yeah, I think he went to the battle phase at the end of his last turn.
Yes,
yeah,
he did.
yeah. That was the final action he had. Yeah.
I mean, sorry, for the next turn.
The next turn. He hasn't activated Runic Spell this turn, so he's probably trying to hold off on it so he can finish the game next turn if he can.
Activate Runic Slumber.
Well, there goes the battle phase. But
Slumber is going to banish the top 1, 2, 3 cards off the top of the deck.
Draw and lock, but we did hit a Water Enchantress.
So he's going to go battle phase, trying to attack over the Sunflower Sprint.
I'll activate Runic Tip to search.
Oh, there it is, the Runic Tip.
That's it. That's going to be enough for Matt, and he's going to concede, and Pak is going to win after losing game number 1, wins the back 2-0, and now he's moving on 8-0. One more round to go today, and then we'll be back